Here we go. President Trump giving his assessment of last night's political earthquake in New York. Mayor Zohran Mamdani emerging as the new kingmaker of the Democratic Party after all three of his candidates surging to victory on radical platforms. Here's the president.
Going radical left, they're going really, you talk about the Democrat socialists, it's really communist. They beat a guy named Dan Goldman, who's, a loser. He was one of my prosecutors, one of my many prosecutors that they used on me. Dan Goldman, not a good prosecutor, fortunately, but he's now looking for a job. I was very surprised to see, because he's a pretty liberal guy. When they go more liberal than Dan Goldman, they're really into Never, Never Land.
And here's that far left faction celebrating their wins last night.
How are we doing tonight? How are we feeling tonight?
Abolish ICE, free Palestine.
It has not been easy, and I know that it won't be easy, because fascism is on the rise, Trump is in office.
It's socialism in the motherfucking house!
And it's got some in the media saying game over for establishment Democrats.
The revolution is being televised. That's what I make of it. The Mamdani phenomenon is not a one-guy thing, and the roof is collapsing on the Democratic Party establishment tonight.
It's going to allow everybody to go, oh, they're going to look at New York City and go, oh, the Democratic Party is so far left. If you want to blame anybody for what happened last night, my opinion, if you want to blame anybody, Jonathan, I think you have to blame Benjamin Netanyahu.
A lot of people, and you know this too, you live in L.A., the number one thing they're saying is, why can't we have a Mamdani?
That's what they're saying.
And it's about energy.
This is hopefully going to sweep the entire country.
Interesting decision on who to blame there by Morning Joe. Greg, we live in New York City, and here we go. The socialists are on the march.
He just blamed the Jews.
He did.
He's amazing. He just fed into why they won. Only 11 to 13% of registered voters voted last night. That's not a lot of people. And that's first. There's a reason for that. It's a safe Democrat seat for a reason. The power is concentrated. It's one-party rule. So the Dems could run someone who cheered October 7th and win. They did. They could run someone who advocated the violent overthrow of a country. They did, and they won. I don't know if people understand how this works. You allow one-party rule in anywhere, and then within that one-party rule, the most passionate, I would say irrational, ruthless faction can hijack the party. So there's no opposition, there's no break. So you have one party, that with that party, you get this concentrated, maniacal faction, and they take it over. It's like a tumor that grows. So the Democrat, this is going to happen everywhere where there is a one-party rule. The sobering observation that I saw is that we used to have leftists who would tie their money grab to programs, even though it produced no improvement, but at least they pretended that they had a system. Now they don't even pretend that they have a system, that we want your money so we can do this. Now the wealth confiscation is the reason and justification itself. We are taking it because we can. We're taking it because we will, and we're taking it because we deserve it and you don't. This is not new to certain places in the world, but it really is new to us, this idea that there's no longer a reason for taking your money. And the reason why this inevitably self-destructs is that with socialism, you divvy up the resources to your preferences, but you never figure out who creates the resources. How do you split up something that you no longer make? You know, they've essentially elected the mold that grows on the stuff that's already there. But what happens when that stuff leaves? What happens when you run out of stores to loot? These people do not know how to make things. They can only take things or grow on top of things. But ultimately, all of that runs out. So what scares me most about this thing, and it's not scary, it's just something that I've seen happening, is this is achievement for a large segment of the population, acquiring power to allow themselves to take from people. That's why this comes off as anti-American. Americans generally have dreams. I want to grow up and be an engineer. I want to be a writer. I want to be a doctor. You want to succeed and build a successful life. We never thought a successful life meant taking from others. So I don't think it's a dream. It shouldn't be somebody's dream to have power. That's no dream at all, because there's no pride in taking something from somebody who achieved something. That is why this is so naturally repulsive when people are trying to figure out, why are they so happy? Because we've imported something from a dangerous part of the world here that has a different view of success. And it's not making, it's just taking and taking.
Yeah, the taking the money is the accomplishment.
Yes.
Instead of what they think they want to do with it. Daria Lisa, who won, and although her polling wasn't that great, but she won pretty handily. Point taken, 11% turnout. But she lost Black voters, Hispanic voters, and lower income working class voters. She won white, college-educated, younger liberals, Kaylee.
Yeah, college-educated liberals. I guess they're okay with abolishing prisons, which she is okay with. I guess they're okay with an editorial board pressing her on whether a murderer should be behind bars, and she could not answer that question. I guess they're okay with a deleted tweet about using the American flag to wipe her hands because there was nothing else available. I guess they're okay with all of that. I guess they're okay with zero deportations. There's a litany of comments that she has in the past that they seem to be okay with. But the Democratic Party, they're at a crossroads, and they have to decide whether a failed ideology that has torn apart nations, go see Venezuela, Cuba, the Soviet Union, is the way or not. And you have mainstream Democrats who are saying enough is enough. We are not going to stand for this. Jamie Harrison, the former head of the DNC, said if you hate the Democratic Party, please do not run for our nomination. Jamie Metzl, he worked in the Clinton White House, he worked for Madeleine Albright's State Department, said, it gives me no pleasure to have come to the following conclusion. The American left, including the left wing of the Democratic Party, is currently embracing an orgy of virulent anti-Semitism. And then Sarah Foreman, she's a serious Democratic strategist, said we need to stop pretending this is not the case. The DSA is effectively in charge of New York City. Democratic Party is being captured by socialists and communists. They recognize a trend in the party, and they have the courage to call it out. And they are saying no. When a net favorability of socialism is plus 17 among Democrats and congressional Democrats is plus 4, we've got a problem. When 17 years ago, 15 years ago, capitalism had a plus 1 viewpoint favorability as juxtaposed to socialism among Democrats. Now socialism has a plus 24 view among Democrats. Something is happening to the party. They need to excise this far left extremist base and say we are rejecting it. But while I name those Democrats, I want to know where the senators are calling this out. You only have John Fetterman. Where are the congressmen? You only have Henry Cuellar and a few others. And where are the governors? The party, the elected officials need to say, no, we are against this.
Hakeem Jeffries is going to have his hands full, Jessica. But last week, a friend of mine who's a Democrat contacted his office, not him directly, but somebody in his office, and said, guys, are you paying attention to what's happening in New York? Bernie Sanders is crushing it, and he's going to be here rallying. And they said, no one is paying attention to that old white guy. But they are. And it's like the hijacking of the Democratic Party is well underway.
In certain locations, yes. And first of all, I don't know who responded that way, but they should not arguably have that job, because that's not how you talk to a constituent, and it's not how you address what is a very serious fissure within our party and something that could end up co-opting certainly the national attention onto the party. That's what I've been thinking a lot about. I mean, Greg is right. New York City is a very blue city, right? So people with a DSA platform can win here. They cannot win nationwide. They cannot win in swing districts. So I'm in two minds about last night. If I wanted to be glass half full, I would tell you all about Kate Conley in New York 17, who's going to be running against Mike Lawler. 6 combat tours, Iraq and Afghanistan, national security background. She was the candidate Mike Lawler didn't want to face, and he's going to. She could pick up that seat. Or Ben McAdams in Utah's first. He was a moderate congressman. He got redistricted out in 2020. He's back and won the nomination, beat a bunch of progressives. That is good news, because we need to get to 218 seats, and that's what Speaker Jeffries is focused on. The other side of me, who's also someone who lives here in this city and cares deeply about it, is disturbed particularly about what happened with that Daria Lisa Chevalier and Adriano Espaillat, who, by the way, is not a blue dog Democrat. The guy is as progressive as it comes, Medicare for all. He's the chair of the Hispanic caucus. This is also, I believe, the first undocumented immigrant who ever went on to become a member of Congress. That is a story to be celebrated, and a lot of moderate Dems, like Gregory Meeks, Nydia Velázquez, who retired, so was the New York 7 seat, pointing out, if you want to get stuff done in Washington, you know what matters? Seniority. And you know who had seniority? Espelot. What's going to happen now when you're sending these 3 novices, essentially, down there, right, who don't know how to fight in appropriations, who are, at the celebration parties, there were people chanting, you're next, about Hakeem Jeffries. You think that he's going to be smiling at you and saying, yeah, I'm here to give you whatever you want? What will be really interesting to see is if Espelot or somebody else runs as an independent for the general election and then sees what happens if there's that kind of competition.
Jesse, feels like there's this momentum behind this DSA guys, and Zohran Mamdani barely won his election, but now he's leading the party.
Well, Hips is cooked, so Schumer. They have no clout. They got rocked on their home turf. So bye-bye. This is dangerous. You don't think these people can springboard to become governor, senator, AG? This is how it happens. You guys run your little power centers in Chicago, Los Angeles, New York. All of a sudden, you guys just populated all the higher offices in those states. And you guys are just going to sit back and do nothing with that power? You're coming for us. You're coming for our money. You're coming for our people. You're coming for our way of life. It's not socialism, guys. This is communism. You can't reason with these guys. You have to crush them. And we will, because we're not going to let our greatest city get destroyed. We're not going to let our civilization get destroyed. These people are going to steal from us. These people want to hurt us. This isn't like your regular Democrat. Tish James says these people are crazy. One of the ladies said she wants to destroy Western civilization. Now, I don't know about you. I take that as a threat. Another woman says she wants to empty prisons. That sounds like a violent threat. Abolish ICE. That means you can break into the country, rape, and stay. I don't like that. I'm not going to go for it, and no one's going to go for it. And the way we're going to react is going to be a lot tougher than the way Trump is reacting. The way we're going to react is going to make Trump look like a kitten. I look at Latin America, same thing. You have presidencies that swing from crazy communists to right-wing tough guys. Is that how America is supposed to be? Because that's the way it looks. These people don't believe in borders, capitalism, our founding fathers. They're here to steal, punish us, and then throw around welfare. This is a third world takeover. This is what happens when you import the third world. Did you know that New York City is 70% non-white, 40% foreign-born, 50% of the apartments, they don't even speak English, not even their first language. These 3 women who Mamdani endorsed weren't even born in New York City, weren't even raised in New York City. They're carpetbaggers. Carpetbaggers, Jessica. And everyone's talking about, like, oh, Mamdani, oh, you got all this juice. Like he's this, like, harmless novice politician on a hot streak. This guy is trouble. This guy is a Trojan horse. And communism is going to take over the Democratic Party, and then we're going to have to beat it, because you can't do anything else besides beat it to a pulp.
You have to win.
Can I add really quickly, what Jesse was saying about it growing to higher offices, what happens in the Michigan primary will be really interesting if al-Sayed wins there, and if Plattner can actually win the seat in Maine.
I wouldn't put it past him.
No, I wouldn't.
All right. Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube, and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.